Hey, this is a quick explanation of the Writing Your Own Scary Story for Applied English that's due Friday, November 1st. We are finishing up our Scary Stories unit. We read some examples over the last 2 weeks. You took your Scary Stories quiz on Wednesday, and now the last assignment for this unit is to do some of your own creative writing. You can find the instructions for this assignment in your course page on both Thursday the 31st and they'll be on Friday, November 1st as well. So I'm going to go ahead and read through the instructions for you and give a brief explanation. Are you ready to use your creative, creepy writing skills? Today you will have the chance to write part of a scary story using what we've learned in this unit. Be sure to read through all 4 options before you begin writing. Only choose one option to complete for a grade. So here's your first option. Write the ending to The Landlady. That's one of the stories we read in this unit, the last one we read. When the actual story finishes, the reader doesn't get to find out what actually happens to poor Billy. So you write the ending. Make sure that you write in third person and continue the story where it left off. And that just means don't say, well, I think Billy would do this, or I think the landlady would do that. Write it as an actual continuation of the story. And your continuation of the story must be at least 10 additional sentences. Option 2, if you don't want to do that one, is write the introduction of a suspenseful scary story using one of the story starters below. And there's 4 options. On a blustery autumn evening, 3 friends walked home from school through the graveyard that bordered their neighborhood. I heard a scream from the bedroom window. When I looked up from the yard, I saw my mother pointing behind me. So those are 2 separate starter sentences. The third option here is when my girlfriend or when my boyfriend and I went to the movies that night, I never expected. And the last option here is I woke suddenly sitting straight up in bed covered in sweat. Looking around as my eyes adjusted, I knew something was wrong. So you can choose one of those to begin a story with. And when you write your story, be sure to begin the story with the sentence that you chose from above. Your continuation of the story must be at least 10 sentences. You do not have to finish the story. It can just be a suspenseful introduction. And then there's 2 more options. Option 3 is take a look at the images on this document. Now, when you look at the prompt in your course page, you can click on that link to find the images, but I'll show you them here. So there's 5 sort of creepy images. And looking at those, if you can come up with a story that relates to the images or that tells what's happening in the images in a story form. So you have 5 options here. Choose one of the images to write the beginning of a suspenseful, scary story about. Make sure you don't get any stories or ideas from an online source, so don't obviously take one from somewhere else. We've talked about plagiarism. And your submission must be at least 10 sentences. Again, you're just doing the introduction of the story. And option 4, if you don't like any of those other prompts, you don't like to write from prompts, you just want to come up with something on your own, option 4 is write the beginning of a suspenseful, scary story that captures your reader's interest with an idea of your own. Make sure you don't get any stories or ideas from any other sources, so obviously just use your own brain to come up with something creepy. And again, it has to be at least 10 sentences, something just an introduction. Now, for all of these options, you may want to write a full story. You may want to do more than just the introduction. So if you end up writing a full story, you can earn up to 110% on this assignment. So some bonus points if it's a lengthier story and it's written well. If you want to take your time writing the story throughout the day or over the weekend, I suggest that you type it out on a Word document so you can save as you go. And then when you're ready to submit, just copy and paste it in the text box that is in the quiz where you're submitting your story. Okay, so choose one of those 4 options and write at least 10 sentences of a scary story. And remember, I'm not going to be grading you on how scary it is, just that it's done and that you've followed the instructions. If you need to contact me, always feel free to call me, text me, email me. I am so more than happy to help. Happy writing!